All right, music fans, welcome back. Harmless Me here talking real music in real time for real people just like you and just like me. So last year, Peter Cetera did an interview and really kind of went to town in this interview and talked a lot about his frustrations when he was in the band Chicago and also told the audience that he was done. He was not going to be performing anymore. I don't think he's going to be recording anything new as well. I think he um, pretty much put the kibosh on that idea as well, saying that, look, I've done everything I need to do. The touring was a little bit brutal on him. And one of the things he said to me took a lot of courage and it took a lot of honesty to admit it because I watch aging rock stars. And by the way, Peter Cetera is 76 this year. I think he'll be 77 in September. Um, but Cetera went out there and said, look, I don't want to see these people who just can't perform anymore. And they're pretending that they can still do this stuff, but you listen to them and they sound like crap. And Cetera basically told the interviewer, I don't want to be remembered, sounding like crap. To the contrary, though, Cetera went down, I think, to South America, did some gigs. He did a lot of international touring, almost like he was trying to avoid the States for whatever reason. He did obviously perform in the States, but he was really still a hot commodity in places like Europe and South America. And those concerts were really well attended. And Cetera still sounded great. He was singing everything maybe a step down, maybe a little bit more than that in some cases, which is a little distracting on the ears, especially if you've grown up listening to the songs in the key that they were recorded in over and over again. And then you hear somebody who sounds familiar, but they're starting down here, a little bit lower. Even so, just to hear Cetera's voice, because it's so unique, was still a great thing for Peter's fans. But, give Peter Cetera credit. He didn't try to keep doing this beyond its expiration date. A lot of older rock stars need to come to grips with that. Recently this particular rock star recorded a Motown or soul record singing old soul tunes, somebody who probably shouldn't be doing that. It just doesn't make sense to me, but I guess there's a market for it. There are fans that want it, but it's absolutely perplexing. I think my take on it is, well, you can't sing the hard rock and heavy metal stuff anymore. So let's try to sing these soul tunes. But quite honestly, you need soul to sing soul music. You have to have some modicum of soul in your singing ability in order to pull it off. And you're an aging white dude, and I don't think that's the criteria for putting out a soul album. I get it that you like it and you think this is great music, and but why would anyone want to hear your take on it when they have this vast catalog of Motown and Stax music and just so much amazing stuff that isn't really being played anymore on the radio unless you live in a market that has a really good, classic soul music station. Peter Cetera realized that, there wasn't much left for him to do in the music world. His stay in Chicago was very productive. He basically owned that band after Chicago 17, and the band said, no, we don't want to be owned by Peter Cetera. I think their forward trajectory, if they had somehow worked something out with Peter, I think, with all apologies to Jason Scheff and to everybody else who came along, I think the band would have had legs that would have gone on probably into the 90s and maybe even beyond with Cetera. But, you know, they are a democracy and they chose to vote Peter off the island, basically. They didn't give him what he wanted. After Chicago 17, he was in a really good negotiating position when you look at the success of that album and David Foster being around and so forth. And they kept Foster around for one more album, which I think ticked Peter off, because I think Peter thought that David was going to bail. Needless to say, after Cetera's big success on that solo album, Solitude Solitaire, with Glory of Love, which would have been another #1 Chicago song. See, this is the thing. Chicago, I think, they, in hindsight, they did what they thought was right, but keeping Cetera and trying to kind of mend fences and embracing the 80s, which certain members of the band really had, you know, difficulty doing. Peter Cetera didn't, because Peter Cetera came from a band in the 60s that was into pop music, that was into writing singles, like putting out really good singles that people could sing and dance to. Whereas Chicago was a different kind of band. They were, you know, this jazz rock ensemble that, you know, and they put out great music. I'm not criticizing what they did, but Cetera, he was kind of cut from that cloth that, you know, I'm a pop songwriter. And his influence on Chicago, once he started writing songs, you could tell, hey, it was kind of like pulling away from this template that Chicago had. You know, Terry Kath didn't like it, and Robert Lamb didn't like it, and, you know, the horn section, I'm sure, wasn't happy. So Cetera was kind of on his own. And maybe that's why he called his second solo album Solitude Solitaire, because he was on his own. He was a guy who had his own vision apart from those guys. And imagine if his writing was encouraged early on and wasn't looked at as, oh, well, you're a crooner. Well, you hired him to sing, and he's a great vocalist, and he's even more unique. You know, he had a bar fight he got into, broke his jaw, and actually that helped him sound even more unique compared to other singers out there. So in any event, Peter Cetera quit while he was ahead. And that's why people should kind of, you know, look up to Peter Cetera. He didn't stay longer than his expiration date. And not to say that he couldn't get up there and sing 2 or 3 songs even now and sound great, but he decided he just wanted to enjoy his retirement and his life with his family. And who can blame him, right? Good guy. Peter Cetera, one of the best vocalists ever. Even now, still with his voice where it is right now, I'd rather listen to Peter than, I'm just going to be blunt here, any of the other Chicago singers. And I love Jason Scheff and I love Jeff Coffey, but Peter is the real deal. Peter Cetera is the Steve Perry of Chicago. I'll put it that way. All right, done with this video. Little bit of rambling here. I'm a rambling man. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Make sure you smack the bell for notifications. And I'm accepting new patrons all the time for just $1 a month. You can be part of the fun over there. There are musical things you can listen to, and you'll find out what those are once you get over there, and you can listen for yourself. But for now, thanks for watching, and I'll see you soon.